Hi, I'm Bill Scherer, New Mexico State Senator. Let's talk about tax reform. But before we can talk about tax reform, why do we tax anything to begin with? Well, as a society, we've figured out that there are some things that we do better as a group, defense being the big one. So we tax so that we can defend ourselves, whether we're defending our nation or simply defending our neighborhood with the police force. So we gather up money from everybody, we pay for that defense force. Over time, we've also added things like roads and schools and a bunch of other things to the legitimate purpose of government. So that's why we tax in the first place. How did we get so complicated? Well, over time, politicians have wanted to do the right thing for some people. So they give certain people tax breaks because an industry or a business comes to them and says, gosh, we would really like to move to your community, but we need some kind of tax break to do that. So we give them a tax break. We have a big public announcement and say, gosh, we're going to bring all of these jobs to our community. It's great for our community because we gave them a tax break. What we don't tell the world is when we give somebody a tax break, we raise taxes on virtually everybody else in that community. And that's a secret. So our tax rates can keep going up and up and up because we keep giving somebody else a tax break. Over time, we've really made this a complicated pit of nastiness that we can't even sort out anymore. It used to be that tax codes were a couple of dozen pages long. Now tax codes, depending on where you are thousands or even tens of thousands of pages long. Nobody can understand it, and so now it's just a nightmare to work our way through it. The worse it gets, the more people come to us and say, gosh, we need a tax break or we can't function. So we give them a tax break, creating a bigger mess than we already have. So how do we fix it? Well, the 2% tax plan eliminates taxes on almost everything, eliminates all bunch of taxes, but taxes 2% of everything sold, goods and services. 2% simple. It fixes the problem. It pays the bills, but we can't get it done. Why? Well, one of the reasons why is because over all of these decades, we've ingrained in our heads that tax rates must be high. They must be 30, 40, 50% or more. 2% just doesn't seem right. Doesn't feel like it can pay the bills. And this scares politicians. They don't have any facts to say it's bad. It just scares them because 30, 40, 50% is normal. So how do we do it? Well, the first thing is we have to tax everybody. If you tax everybody at 2% and eliminate all those tax breaks, then everybody wins. Every business, every industry, every society wins if you get the tax rates low enough and uncomplicate them. But we're never going to uncomplicate them if we do it piecemeal. Because when you do it piecemeal, when you start to take apart a tax over here, you actually do real harm to some other constituent over there. We don't want to do harm to people. So we can't figure it out. It's too big, it's too ugly, so we just leave it alone and we continue down the path of making it worse, not better. The 2% tax plan crushes the current system, eliminates a bunch of other taxes, brings it down to something inexpensive, easy to understand, still takes care of the legitimate purposes of life, but it's so simple. But politicians are afraid of big moves. Because for most politicians, the worst possible thing that can happen in the world is for them to lose their job. So they'll leave a complicated tax system in place just because they're afraid of losing their job. Well, I'm here to tell you, it's time for you to start kickstarting your politicians so they can start kickstarting the economy with a simple 2% tax.